So guys, this is for one, in case anyone's wondering, this is our happy Thanksgiving. We got this turkey from a friend of ours. I'm glad I didn't want to deep fry it because this thing would not fit. But Mama took care of that in the oven. Mama also made these delicious rolls. My wife has rolls in all the right places, like the kitchen and the dining room. We took some of our chicken giblets from our meat chickens, and we actually canned a bunch of them. And then we added them to some turkey gravy. Got some corn, some green beans. That thing, because that shows up at every Thanksgiving. It's shaped like a can, it's red, and it's kind of tart. Did the Native Americans bring one of those the first ones and then it's just kind of always showed up since? I forget what the actual story is. I think Grandma at least brought one to everyone. And then this is cool because we just harvested some garlic greens and some walking onions to add to our potatoes. So that's going to be our meal. It's going to be delicious. We're going to have leftovers. And what did you make for dessert, child?
I made pumpkin pie.
Is it in the oven right now? Okay, I'm going to go peek at that and then we're going to eat because we're hungry.
Yes.
What do we say, kids? Family.
Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving.
You want to eat that whole turkey?
Yeah.
All right, you may. I'll have the thing. I'll eat that. You can eat that.
I'll eat the mashed potatoes.
Whoa! She weren't kidding. Pumpkin pie, 3.14 out of pumpkin. Nice. Welcome back to the Abundant Harvest Homestead. I'm Papa Pepper, and today I have a difficult one. You see, my number one priority right now is to be able to use the wood from our own land, of which there's a lot just laying around from trees we had to clear for our driveway, for our house, for our yard, for some of the things we've been working on that's not being used. If it sits there long enough, the only thing it'll be good for is building soil as it breaks down and decomposes and becomes something that we can use in the garden. However, while that's happening, I do have to heat my home in the winter to keep my family warm. Right now I'm paying for that through the means of propane. We're using a propane heater, but this priority here is to build a wood stove to heat my house. And I ran into an issue and it hurt. You see, one of my goals here is to use these creek stones, which are really nice looking. They're pretty uniform as far as in size and shape and coloration. And I was thinking, you know what if we had just a nice platform and wall barrier of stone that could heat up, retain some heat, and also then protect our house from burning down. So the first thing to do with that was to put down some mortar for that project. I stayed up the other night till about 1:30 or 2 o'clock in the morning putting down this mortar, this veneer scratch coat base that I'm going to build on top of. It has to kind of harden and cure for at least 24 hours before you can do anything with it. And since I woke up 4.5 hours after I finished this and left for work all day, I wasn't even going to be able to do anything that evening on this project because I wasn't going to stay up till like 2 o'clock in the morning to start the project. So that means I was going to have to wait a whole nother day. However, after staying up to 2 o'clock in the morning, working on this, getting 4.5 hours of sleep and putting in a hard day of work all day, I came home to something that absolutely broke my heart. Somehow, while I was gone, at least four out of my 6 children managed to jump on here, step on here, run across it, pick at it, do something that with the uncured, scratch coat was devastating to it. A lot of it is salvageable, a lot of it's still good. I'll show you just a little bit of that. You can see in an area like this looks pretty good. That's about what I was going for. However, in some other areas, they broke it down to nothing. And that's what really I struggled with, is seeing stuff like this where it was all just stomped off ahead of time before it even had a chance to cure. So having done a number of different forms of construction over the years, I'll tell you what, a lot of people prefer new construction where you're dealing with, you wouldn't even have carpet. You maybe wouldn't even have drywall at a time you were working on a project like this. But once you do construction in somebody's home, a lot of people won't even do it. They won't go into somebody's home and do a remodel, especially if the homeowner is going to be there throughout the day, like retired people and stuff like that. It becomes very difficult. There's no way not to have sawdust or dust or just, create a situation that's hard to live in. Here, these are my own children, my own project, working on this. Really, my big desire to be able to heat this house with wood, and all of a sudden, something like that happens, and emotionally, it hit me hard. This is kind of something that's out of my normal comfort zone. I wanted it done last year. It may not even be done till next year. If I don't finish it till January. I wanted it done before last winter. I'm working on it now and I'm progressing on it, and I was doing pretty good, which was encouraging. And then this happened, and emotionally I did take it pretty hard, but also now I've got to wrap my mind around what to do. At this level of things, the opening would be up here for our wood stove. It'd have stone here, stone here, stone here, but this only comes out about 7 or 8 inches. So it wouldn't be hard for a coal to hit this carpet and make a fire, which could really destroy our entire house, if not even our lives. That is a good concern. I'm glad people feel free to, peacefully, carefully, cautiously, pleasantly, in love, express their opinions and their concerns. That's stuff we do take seriously. As I was contemplating, I was thinking, maybe it would be good to do something like this. You have your first layer of stone there, right? And then you just come out another layer. From the actual opening would be almost 2 feet out now. And that'd be good for a couple of reasons. Number one is if a coal happened to jump out, if you had something that, popped when you opened it, that would protect your carpet all the more. And eventually I want the carpet out of here, and I'll probably do something else across this floor, hopefully less at risk for being a fire problem. But also, if we came out a little more, we'd be able to have an area then on top of the stone to store our wood. Some of it that we're going to be adding in. If we tucked it off in the corner against the wall or something, we could stack a couple logs there, so you wake up in the middle of the night, just grab one, throw your log on the fire, heat your house back up, and move forward from there. And while that is going to be beneficial to us, it also means removing some more carpet, and I just secured this carpet edge, to the ground before or to the subfloor before I put this scratch coat on. But now I've got to find a way to salvage what's been flattened. My current guess, or my current plan, is going to be something like this. Now I'm using an oversized screw here just to show you, but my contemplation is, what if I screw some screws into the part that got flattened? I'd probably pre-drill a hole first with a screw gun, and then take some screws and screw them down in there, and pretty much you'd have the screw head that would act much like the scratch coat as far as something to adhere to. I know it's not going to be as good adhering to metal as it would to the scratch coat, where you have like concrete, more porous, more grip to it, but if you have kind of this T shape here, it could kind of go all the way around it too. That's one option that I have. It's something I'm kind of thinking about. And for those of you who don't really understand the purpose of the scratch coat, you see, if I've got concrete essentially adhering to something, if you have this is your contact area, it's flat, you only have those 3 inches of connection that you're making. However, if in that 3 inches you have something like this and something like this comes along to adhere to it, you have all of that surface area to attach to. So that's what these little grooves are going to do. It's going to give it a lot more grip, a lot more surface area, a lot more distance of an actual connection. And I would take these stones here, I'd butter them up, add a layer onto these of wet mortar, and I'd press it firmly into there, and all that stuff on the bottom of that stone would fit into those grooves, and it would adhere that way. The other thing I'm contemplating is, as I move this out and add onto it before I put the stone down, because I'm going to want some bigger, flatter stone sticking out and things like that, I may be able to kind of chip away at some of the areas that are on the edge where it's been flattened and get back to the lathe. And the lathe is, about the same thing. It's this complex, surface to adhere to, is what it is. It's metal, and it's kind of like a fishnet. And when you put your mortar through there, it gets through there, it gets stuck, and then it's secure. It's held on there really good. So I'm contemplating if I can't chip away with some of that, or run the thing over, or make sure in those areas that are trouble areas, if I do have my new scratch coat over here and my old scratch coat over here, and there's this section of just flatness in the middle where the children stepped on it and messed with it before it was done, do I just have those kind of screws through that area and make sure to put a big stone across there so it's held on really good over here, and in the potentially compromised area it's surrounded by those good adherences, those good places where it's going to work like that. So at this point, that's some of the stuff I'm wrestling through in my own mind. I do like a lot of these exercises where I'm doing something, I have to do a lot of troubleshooting, I have to do a lot of brainstorming. I say, your brain is something too that if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. There's plenty of people who use their brain all the time. There's others who ask their phone for everything, and if the GPS goes down, they're not going to be able to find Walmart, and they're going to starve to death. I mean, I know that's kind of a little absurd, but it's getting to that point, and that's dangerous, which is why I don't just want to Google everything right away. And a lot of you guys have been so helpful in a lot of the projects in life. And what is your idea? What do you think? Does this sound okay? Does it sound like it's going to work? Maybe somebody like Heath Doty or somebody who's got experience in this. Is this a good way to go? Will those screws work, or should I really kind of try to take it down to nothing and go again? That's some of the questions I got right now. I'm going to be doing this soon, but I'm going to give it a couple days because of a number of reasons. And I want to make sure to do it once and do it right. And even some of the things involved in this project may be a bit of overkill. That's fine. I don't mind going above and beyond for something, especially for my family. So that's where we're at. I had a really hard time. A lot of my hard work was destroyed. I stayed up late working on it very hard. I leave and I come back and I'm like, oh no, what happened in my absence? Like, this was not supposed to be like this. And I really struggled with it. Thankfully, we can realize accidents, we can realize disobedience, we can be reconciled to one another, we can forgive one another, and we can move on. But that doesn't mean that things don't hurt, even if it's unintentional. Yeah. So that's where I'm at on this project. I was hoping to already have all of this stoned already, mortared, and have my stone on it and be moving forward. Obviously, the good idea of coming out even further is beneficial, and I'm going to apply that before I move forward. And I do want the front of this, which would be the floor level, taken care of and adhered in place so that the next level up, can be applied afterwards. That's the way I want this done. And then on top of that, then I'll add this one. So it goes 1, 2, 3 in my levels of application. I want to do it in that order. I have my reasons. I'm looking forward to it, but yeah, obviously ran into some issues, and now I'm trying to contemplate what's the best way to solve the parts down here that got flattened. Any suggestions will be welcomed. If this is not your realm of expertise, that's okay. Sometimes people working on certain projects will bring in people who have no frame of reference for any of it, because they can provide a real third-party outsider perspective on something, and they'll notice things that somebody who's very involved with it, who's been taught in it, trained in it, who sees it all the time, will never even notice, because this is the way it is. So feel free to ask questions, leave comments, provide food for thought, and we'll see where this goes as we continue with priority number 1. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it a lot. Papa out.